Hey Internet, this is Jacob Clifford. Now many disciplines have a spokesman, someone that makes the subject interesting or simplifies it for the masses. Think of Bob Ross for painting or Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson for science. But who's the voice of economics?
Who's that economist?
Neil deGrasse Tyson once said, "Ignorance is a virus, and once it starts spreading, it can only be cured by reason. For the sake of humanity, we must be that cure." Clearly there's a lot of economic ignorance in the world today, so for the sake of humanity, why isn't there one definitive spokesman explaining economic principles? Well, it turns out that there was one, but many of you have probably never heard of him.
Milton Friedman!
The economist Paul Krugman called Milton Friedman possibly the most brilliant communicator of economic ideas to the general public that ever lived. Friedman won the Nobel Prize in economics in 1976 and created a popular TV series in 1980 called Free to Choose. Now this aired the same time as another program that was thought-provoking and insightful but focused on science. It was Carl Sagan's Cosmos. It was a time when TV wasn't just mindless entertainment. It really made you think.
What is your favorite part of our newlywed game set? Jim?
Probably wife number 2.
By today's standards, Friedman's lectures and his show were a little boring. But he explained economics with clarity and wit, and many of his arguments are just as relevant today as they were 40 years ago. For example, today there's a huge debate on whether the United States should limit trade with China. But back then it was Japan. Specifically, the debate was whether the United States should stop importing cheap Japanese steel if it's being subsidized by the Japanese government. That's the debate. Let's see what Friedman had to say.
Let us suppose for a moment that the Japanese flood us with steel. That will reduce employment in the American steel industry, no doubt. However, it will increase employment elsewhere in America. We will pay for that steel with dollars. What will the Japanese do with the dollars they get for the steel? They aren't going to burn them. They aren't going to tear them up. If they would, that would be best of all. Because there's nothing we can produce more cheaply than green pieces of paper. And if they were willing to send us steel and just take back green pieces of paper, I can't imagine a better deal. But they're not going to do that. They're not stupid. They're smart people. They're going to use those dollars to buy goods and services. They're going to spend them. In the process of spending them, they may spend them directly in the United States, and that directly provides employment in the United States. They may spend them in Brazil or in Germany or in China or anywhere else. But whoever gets them in turn is going to spend them. So the dollars that we spend for the steel will find their way back to the U.S. as demand for U.S. goods and services. You will have less employment in the steel industry. You will have more employment in the industries producing the goods we export. Overall, total employment will not be affected. But overall, the American consumer will be benefited because he will get the steel more cheaply and the goods made from the steel more cheaply than he otherwise would. Now, with respect to the charge that the Japanese government is subsidizing the export of steel, number one, is very dubious that it's true, but suppose it were true. Then that would be a foolish thing for the Japanese to do from their own point of view. But why should we object to their giving us foreign aid? We've given them quite a bit. Thank you.
And here's another one. Friedman was asked whether the free market system, which runs off self-interest and the profit motive, couldn't be replaced by some other different economic system that focuses on equality.
In my opinion, a society that aims for equality before liberty will end up with neither equality nor liberty. And a society that aims first for liberty will not end up with equality, but it will end up with a closer approach to equality than any other kind of system that has ever been developed. You can only aim at equality by giving some people the right to take things from others. And what ultimately happens when you aim at equality is that A and B decide what C shall do for D. Except that they take a little bit of a commission off on the way.
Now think of these two examples. If he said either of these things today, Friedman would have been criticized by the Trump protectionists on the right and the democratic socialists on the left. And that helps to explain why there's not one trusted spokesman that's explaining economics to the masses. Too many people want to hear ideas that support their political ideology, whether or not those ideas make economic sense. A good spokesman needs to be unbiased and show both sides of every issue, but in today's world of identity politics, it's hard to find an audience unless you pick a side. Seriously, I probably would have twice as many viewers and subscribers if I pushed only liberal or only conservative economic views. Now, of course, those viewers would just be people that already support those views, but I'd have a bigger audience. And for some people, that's all that matters. Now, obviously, I'm not as well known as Neil deGrasse Tyson or Bob Ross, but I'm trying my best to help people understand and appreciate economics. Price is real high. So the quantity is real low right here. It's got a low quantity. But as the price falls, you guessed it, the quantity demand is going to increase. That's special. To pay homage to Milton Friedman, my next few videos are going to discuss some of his ideas and arguments. I'll talk about the pros and cons of his market-driven philosophy, and hopefully we'll develop some solutions that can solve the problems of our day. So do me a favor, first like this video and subscribe and share my videos with others, and stay tuned for an in-depth analysis of Milton Friedman's unique economic perspective. Also, leave a comment below and let me know what economic concepts you want to learn about next, and let me know what you think of Milton Friedman's libertarian view of the world. As always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Now, most important thing with your graph, you gotta label it. That's right, let's label this. Let's label this D. D for demand.